Welcome to Sports Talk Podcast 81. And today we're going to discuss NFL. I had to cut these down to at least top 8 and top 4 because these teams did get potential draft picks that are pretty interesting. I'm not sure why I wasn't sure to cover every one of these, but I decided to put this in two segments from the highest to the lows that I think that might have potential draft picks. I know they got a good potential draft picks. But I want to start with Philadelphia Eagles on this team for possibility that 2026 was a pretty good year for them, and it was like something they did out of the ordinary. Philadelphia Eagles have a pretty good potential draft pick. I know they drafted the guy out of Texas Tech or LSU. I can't remember what school he went to, but they drafted him. Apparently, they need something with leverage to keep the team going. Apparently, Philadelphia would be number one on my list on this one. And apparently, they got somebody that has leverage. On the other hand, can they really run the ball down the chain? Even if they could, with what they have right now. I mean, so far they've been doing good, but can they roll down the ball chain, or this guy is a bust? I mean, are the draft picks that they have are busters? And then they got defensive side back, wide receiver. I think they need a running back. That's all the needs. I think I remember they need it, but I can't remember exactly everything else. And LA Chargers will be number 2 on this list, to where LA Chargers, they did pretty good. They have somebody out of Oregon State, and I think they have somebody out of Ohio, Texas Tech. I think they have a couple other draft picks on the potential mock draft part of the NFL draft. So I think LA Chargers do have a lot of potential draft picks there, but there's not many. My Jacksonville Jaguars would be another one that needs a lot of potential talent. And I know they drafted tight end, but I think they traded up for a wide receiver in the first round. If I remember correctly, they traded up. And Jets, on the other hand, they need a lot of potential draft picks right now, and they did have a huge amount of draft picks. But I heard they kind of gave up something out of the ordinary with this. And if they did get something up, I wouldn't be surprised that they did give something up. So, despite the fact that they did give up something, they ended up probably in the second round. And I know a lot of teams have given up going back down the second round with 2 draft picks, negotiating with Pittsburgh Steelers, a couple other teams. You know, it was one lopsided that a lot of main key players were chosen. Some by Texas Titans, you know. I heard their draft picks went well as much as anything else. Buffalo Bills, they did pretty good with their picks. And it's overall, they did pretty good, you know, for the first few rounds. Now, onto the top 4, which is the lower side of this, that I think they should. And I think there are teams that might do bad with the draft when they did it. Bengals would be one of them. I have predictions they would have taken somebody good. And I think they took somebody out of Texas and LSU and Miami. I know a couple players were from Miami they took out from other teams. But I think the Bengals got somebody from Miami. They got somebody from LSU. I mean, it was a mix for all the Bengals. Now, number 4 would be Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I heard they got potential draft picks also. But I think they made too many rotten moves in the draft. Um, but I heard they didn't get many moves actually this year, and it's like they. I know they did get the first 2 rounds between Dallas and wait. Dallas got a couple of good first round picks. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, they didn't get any picks at all until I think by the second round. I think it was a late round pick that they decided to go drop down before the draft, and I think what they did was kind of, I'm not saying stick to where it was bogus, but it was like, so Tampa Bay, I think they ended up in the 5th round, maybe in the 3rd round of the draft to get potential draft picks. Because I never seen a higher hair of them in the potential draft pick line of the 1st round. So I think they were stuck at 4th and 5th round waiting to potential draft picks. And usually they could have made a move. They could have made a move. 49ers on the other end also were not really 2nd and 1st round pick participants in the round. You know, they waited at their picks. I mean, most teams waited this time. I mean, I remember about 4 years ago, 2 years ago, something like that, they decided to go lopsided, topsy-turvy, train up, train down, you know. And there was like 5 or 10 different teams that were trained up, trained down to do this. This year and the following year, they didn't do that. And I'm surprised. And my predictions went the New York Jets. They kind of got who they got. But I was expecting to go lopsided turn down for Philly, everything else in between. Chargers, Jacksonville Jaguars, Buccaneers, Texans, 49ers. I thought they were all going to be bouncing up and down like they did in one draft. And I remember that very well. Because you don't see that in the draft as much in the 1st round. I mean, that was back in 2011, 2010, I think. And you don't see it as often. You know, you don't really see it as often, but you don't, you know. And I remember that very well to a certain degree. Yeah, there is potential draft picks there, but there's not many draft picks right now that I see. Now, any of these teams are Super Bowl contenders? Philly is one of them. I can tell you that right now. I mean, I can tell you right now, Philly is one of them. New York Jets, I really don't believe Matt O'Leary, but they might be, maybe Super Bowl contenders for the 2026 season. So, they might be Super Bowl contenders, they might not. Chargers, I would say no, because NFL Mike is bull crap. They might be Super Bowl contenders. Time will tell with them. Bengals, maybe the Super Bowl contenders. Texans, maybe. Miami Dolphins, I don't know exactly. Because they didn't do much in the draft, apparently, and it just didn't turn in their favor. Pittsburgh Steelers is maybe a 50 chance because I heard they got some good draft picks. New York Giants, I heard they got some pretty good draft picks out of the picks they've had. But all in all, would be a Washington Commanders. I'll give these guys 50-50 for Washington Commanders more than anything else. Dallas Cowboys, I heard Jerry Jones kind of stuck it out. And I think he didn't wait until the 3rd round to pick. You know, Jerry Jones' team didn't wait until the 3rd round to pick. I think that was kind of a bad move on his point. I like him to move up. Because I heard something that he stayed instead of trading up. And you could have traded up in the 2nd round and 1st round, you know. Get a potential draft pick to steal, you know. Denver Broncos, Tennessee Titans, they did some good draft picks as well. Because I know they need like a defensive line, an offensive O-line outside fielder, you know. from the football standpoint. It's like how they can a guard, point guard. These two teams might be needing that. So them Ruggers and Tennessee Titans, Minnesota Vikings. I heard they have potential draft picks in the defensive side, because I know they need a defensive tackle, running back tackle, everything else in between. Miami definitely needs a lot of draft picks from offense, defense. They have something there. And I think they might go back to the free agency and trade somebody off. Not the potential draft picks they've chosen. Miami might have to trade some of their old players, make a free agency, and pick up at least probably 2 new players that for each end, for defensive and offensive. So I'm thinking they might do that offhand. The other team would be Dallas Cowboys, Indianapolis Colts, Giants. Their draft picks were kind of iffy, maybe, because I remember Jerry Jones looking at in the war room, watching the NFL draft, being patient, being cool as he usually is. I remember that one scene, and it was like, he gonna trade it up. You gonna trade it up for the 10th spot in the draft, the first round. He could have traded up. He could have traded up that one team that had the number 10 pick. And he would have ended up with 2 round picks in the first round if he didn't go as high as what he wanted to. So there's a lot of possibilities there that are endless for Jerry Jones this year. But he didn't take it. I'm not surprised. But now my prediction, about 40% of these teams did very good in the draft. The other side, as on the list, I would say Eagles have got a pretty good edge. Bengals are another one on the list. Tampa Bay, maybe it would be 50-50 with them. They could take something on the list offhand. Jacksonville Jaguars is another 50-50 team that I think had potential draft picks. And New York Jets and Texas would be another 50-50 because where they would take it. So I think all these teams that I've told them, even though they're not on this list, they have potential to be Super Bowl contenders, but where would it take them for a run? Jerry Jones is thinking about rebuilding the team anyway. That's why he took the picks that he took. I think the same with Jacksonville Jaguars, a couple other teams that sat back and relaxed to keep the picks, that they're trying to make them Super Bowl contenders. But, all in all, it would be pretty interesting. Alright, that's what I got for today. I hope to see you next time in this one. Sports Talk Podcast 81. John Vick signing off. Have a good day. And enjoy the rest of your morning. I might do another video later on. So until next time, take care.